Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be looking at a weekly meta installment for the Explorer format. Normally we get the data from UntapedGG. It's a new format, they haven't set it up yet. So we're going to just kind of look at some curated deck lists that I found across the internet, and shoutouts to MTG Arena Zone for getting a bunch of lists together. So this is going to be a combination of best of 1 and best of 3 for this week. Normally I'll do those as separate videos. And these are going to be a mix of ladder and events that have like 5-0'd, 7-0'd, depending on the format. So we're going to start off actually with best of 1. This is a mono white control list, Yorion from Jamie MTG, that went 7-0 in an event. And really it's kind of a big white control deck. You have a Karn package that can fetch you specific cards in your wish board, depending on what you need. It's a Golos package as well. You have both Cascading Cataracts and the World Tree that allow you to activate Golos's colorless mana. Sorry, there's a lot of ads on this one site, so makes it not as clean. You have creature lands, you have stuff like Blast Zone, Castle Ardenvale kind of mixed in. You have early removal in the form of like Portable Hole, March of the Otherworldly, Fateful Absence. You also have Shatter the Sky and Farewell. Notably, the new spell Dimensify, I think it is, the new 4-mana sweeper. It's probably better to play that over Shatter. Your opponents are more likely to have 4 power creatures than to multicolor, or you can do a split, or even sometimes like a couple copies of Settle the Wreckage could be good, just to kind of work in that regard. You have kind of a blink, things that are worth blinking in the form of like Spirited Companion, Circuit Mender, Skyclave Apparition, Farmhand finds you mana, Thraben Inspector can get you value. You got Wandering Emperor mixed in there, some Redains. It's actually a really cool deck. I was playing against it earlier today with like a Rakdos deck, and I've been kind of grinding with it. So this one's a sweet list, so shout out to Jamie there. We have Mono Green Devotion by Cody Burton. So this is kind of a port on the existing Pioneer version. Notably, we're missing Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx. So instead, we're trying to play some copies of Nyx Lotus. Notably, this comes into play tapped, it's 4 mana, the land's free, so it's not as good, but it's still kind of a fun deck from what I've heard from folks. So you have early ramp with like Llanowar Elves, Incubation Druid. Basically, the combination is you want to get a bunch of Devotion down on the field, and then have this Nyx Lotus, which you can untap with Kiora to generate a bunch of mana. There's technically an infinite combo here. So you need, I think it's like 15 mana, a Karn and a Kiora in the graveyard, and a Karn and Kiora on the battlefield. Karn could fetch Pestilence Cauldron. You play the backside, which gets you 2 cards back from your graveyard. The Cauldron gets exiled. You get back Kiora and Karn again. Basically just float mana, keep repeating that process. Karn can get the Cauldron out of exile. You keep doing that till you gain infinite life, infinite mana. And then once you have enough, then with the Overgrown Tomb that you have, you generate a black mana, or you can use it off the Cauldron itself if you have the Nyx Lotus because of the Devotion. And then you can mill your opponent out. It's a lot of clicking, stuff like that, so I was joking to another content creator, I'm just going to make a big Hydra and attack in. But kind of a cool list there. Then we have by Ista BNF, Best of 1 Creativity deck. So this is an infinite combo deck. So you're using a bunch of treasure enablers with Indomitable Creativity. You need 2 tokens. With those 2 tokens, it basically will always get you the combination of Sage of the Falls as well as the Locust God. Basically what happens here is you draw a card, creates an insect, creature enters the battlefield. So with Sage of Falls, you draw a card. Infinite loop, you can do that as many times as you have cards in your deck. Those creatures have haste, and then you could kill your opponent that way there. So if you're looking for like a cool kind of combo deck, this one here could probably win turn 4 or 5, pretty consistent. And now you have like big score, which is an easier to cast Unexpected Windfall, copy 5 of it, and then you have stuff like Forbidden Friendship or the Mirror Breaker kind of mixed in as well. We have Best of 1 Esper Control that went 7-0 as well. This is Cao Giovanni. And this is really just blue-white control, splash black. You have Tainted Indulgence as some card advantage, some Fatal Pushes in there from black, as well as Void Rend as just catch-all removal, Path of Peril as early sweeper, some Farewells and Shatters as well. Shark Typhoon is and the Wandering Emperor, your primary win cons. but you do have like Hall the Storm Giant. Is that the only creature land? Only creature land. 1 Hall, and then you have like some other utility lands. So if you're looking for control, that's an option. There's also, let me do blue-white control first because it's kind of paired in. Best of 1 Yorion control by Dia. Very similar idea. You're with Yorion, so you get more cards in the deck. 4 of Shark Typhoon. This one's playing some Cage's main for Winoda. You have the Wandering Emperor, Teferis mixed in there. You have castles. This version has a sideboard as well, but they played it in the event, so if you want the sideboard, you can play it there. And then you got some utility lands mixed in that mana base. Best of 1 Greasefang. This is a deck I keep losing against because I am trying to beat Winota and I lose to this because of it. But basically this is a combo deck. You're self-milling yourself, and this deck is either usually in Mardu colors or Esper, but you want to put cards into your graveyard, particularly Parhelion. Parhelion in your graveyard lets you cast Greasefang, which reanimates it, and as early as turn 3, technically turn 2, if you could otherworldly gaze both Akiba and the Parhelion, you can't stay awake it to get it back in, but this does 13 damage and leaves you 2 4/4 angels behind to kind of play into that regard. Then we go to the best of 3. This list by Jaws was number 3 mythic so far. It's a Rakdos sacrifice list with like Anvil, you have Mayhem Devil kind of mixed in. There's a sideboard as well for you. So main board Anvil, post board you can get a little bit more interactive. And this is just like a nickel dime style deck. Relatively speaking, like the mana base is a little bit expensive with rares, but the main board is actually no rares other than Thoughtseize. So it's not the most expensive deck, even like you have Jengantha and some of these, but the Rakdos deck we'll see very shortly with another version of Rakdos, this one by Ryume, number 1 mythic. This was a mono red splash Rakdos Burn, so very similar with like your mana base. You could have similar cards, but this one's using like a burn package with some artifacts, unlicensed disintegration to try to burn out your opponent that way there. So kind of a cool take there. We have Naya Winoda, also by Ryume. Ryume is on a path this month. Shout out to them. So this is a Winoda deck. Pretty much you could port the same one for best of 1 if you want as well. But you have a bunch of early accelerants here that get you out your Winoda. Your key human hits are Kenrith, Tovolar's Huntmaster, Brutal Cathar. You also have like Courier's Briefcase, which both ramps you. So like this and this both let you have a turn 3 Winoda with an attacker. Kind of played into that respect as well. Lastly, we have 4 Color Fires by Nick Paternel. So this is a combo deck with Fires of Invention. Your green gets you some ramp. You have like mana fixing with Courier. What you're trying to do here is sacrifice a token to get Agent of Treachery. You have ways of blinking it with either Fable the Mirror Breaker or Yorion. Fires of Invention lets you cast stuff for free. Yorion lets you find basically any, or Calyx lets you find any of these, including, so you got quite a few hits in this. So just some card advantage scattered in there as well. Post board, you become more of kind of a control deck with like just Shark Typhoons, and then you have Vetoes mixed in there as well, kind of coming at that. Basically, if you're playing best of 3 and you're in red, you play Red Cat Melee. Otherwise, you play Ray of Enfeeblement if you're black, Noxious Grasp. You need ways to answer Winoda. If you can, bring some sort of like artifact destruction, stuff like that you need. Also have a way to deal with graveyards is usually helpful. Kind of mixing in there. There are not as much as traditional Pioneer because there's not the graveyard combo decks. Phoenix is missing some key cards. You don't need Weathered Runestone. There's not really those kind of combo decks in this format, but gives you an idea. I'll post all these deck lists in the video description, but this is just kind of a start to give you an idea of the format. This is the list I've been playing in best of 1. Give me a sec. I'm 15, so I've tried out a bunch of different decks in Explorer. The Angels deck was pretty solid, as well as this best of 1 Rakdos deck. So the Angels deck is mono white. It's a snow deck, so it's got just like Giada, a bunch of good angels. You have Bishop of Wings, Tear to Gain You Life, Resplendent Angel, but it's also got the Book of Exalted Deeds combo. So there's a video on that. We had a 4-1 record versus Winota, which was pretty solid overall. And then this is the deck I'm 15-3 with so far. Two of my losses were to Parhelion on the play turn 3 that they got it against me, and Fires where they turned forward Agent of my lands, and then I lost to blue-white where I just didn't draw lands. But it's kind of a mid-rangey shell with Obnixilus. It's kind of the more grindy version, so I found Meat Hooks effective. I played a lot of this deck, both even on mobile, a couple different versions. The numbers, some of them seem odd, but it seems to be working, so I'm going to keep going with it. Cling to Dust is something I'm trying out against the Parhelion combo, but also something to kind of get you going if you want to kind of get an idea of with deck lists. But I've enjoyed this 3-0 versus Winota, beating up on the gen lists, and kind of going from that respect. But let me know what you think in the comments. I'll post all the deck lists, and next week we'll try to get more data. Hopefully Untap's up and we can pull that. If you're looking for standard, I have a bunch of new Capenna standard lists as well. But we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.